Welcome, everyone. I guess this is our second year of Step Up here in Frankenmuth. And we want to welcome everybody back and say that we are excited to get started with our spring session. So, when we were last together, we said that we had some things planned for this spring session. Anybody remember what we talked about doing? 5K. 5K. So Nate has been doing some work and he found a location for us, and we have a plan and some dates and some exercises to make this feasible for everyone. So we're excited to lay it out and let you guys know what we have in store.
So we're excited to announce that on August 19th, we're going to be hosting a 5K run walk. So a lot of people might think a 5K run, that's not within my goals. But it's going to be a very, very accessible event. It's a place where it's a 1 mile loop where we're going to have stations set up that we do that same loop 3 times. So we really only need to be able to make it a 1/4 mile before we have some place that there's going to be some sort of assistance, somebody there to help if we need it. And also, while we're going to be encouraging people to run, that's what we're really going to be working on our strength for. We're going to be working on some of those other things. There's not a single concept or thing that we're working on that won't be just as beneficial for walking. So the strength and endurance components that we're doing will completely 100% translate over into walking the 5K distance, which anybody that doesn't know, 5K is just a little over 3 miles.
3.1 miles.
Yep.
So as you guys have heard us saying, running is the most dynamic form of human ambulation. So we really want to get into some of these exercises. And a lot of times people think running isn't always just going out and doing a 5K. Running could be, what if you're going out to your mailbox and it starts to rain and you're moving at a different speed, try to get back in the house, or you're trying to cross the street and a car comes and you need to move quicker to get to the other side. That's referred to as variable cadence. So the techniques that we're going to be sharing and encourage everyone to do, you may think, hey, I don't want to run the whole 5K, but walking a 5K might be a good goal, but you're going to find that we're going to push you more than we have in the past. So there's going to be a lot of interval or intermittent running or things where you're going to try to push yourself for short distances. What you may find, and what we're hoping that you're going to find, that this is going to increase your capability maybe more than what you saw.
Who here feels like they're ready to run? Who here, including us on the stage?
Well, yeah. I should say up until yesterday, I wasn't sure.
And I was going to ask Scott, and I'm glad that Ben raised his hand too, and I'm sure that you're going to answer the same way that Scott did. Scott, why do you feel like you're ready to run right now? What have you done over the last bit that makes you say that today, now you're ready to run?
Well, I've been doing strength training and core training for the last 2.5 months now, or at least a good solid 2 months. So.
Right. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be spending the next about 3 months working on strength training. So anybody that wants to run, we're going to encourage you to run. We want running. We're going to be training all this stuff, but we're going to also ask, don't start yet. Now is not the time to run yet. What we're going to do is we're going to prepare your body so that when we start doing the high impact things like running, we don't do things like injure the other leg. We don't have overuse injuries or other things that are common with running. We want to have our bodies prepared for this. And this strength training is the thing that there's not a single person in this room, I don't care if you're wearing a prosthesis or not, that wouldn't benefit from doing this program in terms of the strength training.
So the strength training is going to help strengthen the muscles and the ligaments around it so that you will be ready and to give you a greater opportunity for success.
So right now we're going to be doing 2 things. We're going to be spending 3 days a week doing strength training. Now we start out real short. These are short videos. They're short exercise segments. And then 3 other days of the week, we're going to do 20 minutes or so of cardiovascular type work, whether that's walking, riding a bicycle, rowing, or an elliptical.
Yep. Since we're talking about doing a 5K and really trying to push ourselves, we're going to encourage people, like you heard us talking about, an elliptical, rowing machines, that type of thing. We're going to encourage people, if you're serious about doing this, to try to get access to a gym. These are not exercises that will be necessarily all easy to do at home.
Right.
Some of them you would be able to do at home, but the CrossFit part of it and the cross training is very important, and that requires some machines to allow for success. Now, the reason I think this part is important to talk about, and Nate and I talked about this quite a bit, because we actually struggle with how are we going to do the exercises. And when it came down to it, we're like, the best, we go to gyms. That's where we get our workouts in, and we're trying to come out. There are some more affordable ones that should be realistic for everyone, like Planet Fitness, for example. I'm not endorsing Planet Fitness as the greatest gym. That's not what this, but they have these $10 a month memberships and $25 for the black card or the premium. I'm sure there could be other gyms that are competitive with them. I just don't know their names. Like I said, I'm not trying to endorse them. If you have something that's affordable, and I'll tell you what, we have a Facebook community. I know Brianna is monitoring that. Please share. Hey, I found a good deal at this place. They seem to be really friendly, whatever.
Now, another good tip for success is to not do it alone. Especially when we're talking about something that right now it's early March and we're talking about an event that's going to be in August. There's a lot of days to say, this isn't my day between now and then. So the best thing that we've found, and I mean, this is pretty universal, is to have somebody as kind of an accountability partner, somebody that you're kind of going through this with. So whether you kind of can go to the Facebook and use the group there to kind of check in and keep your success, or whether you find somebody, as I said, I mean, I'm going to be doing a lot of these exercises. I don't use a prosthesis. The person that uses your partner doesn't have to use a prosthesis. It just has to be somebody that's saying, I'm going to commit to doing these things with you. Because guess what? You're going to have days where you're motivated and you pull them along, and you're going to have days where they're motivated and they pull you along. It doesn't matter, and that's why having somebody that you can talk about this stuff with is just so helpful on such a long program.
I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about when we started doing the triathlons, and I really hadn't run long distances regular since I lost my leg. So when Nate and I kind of came up with an approach of how we're going to do this, before I was going to run it all, we agreed that I was going to do 3 months of strength training and conditioning to get ready for that. And I did that and had great success with it and really enjoyed running. And then COVID happened, and then gyms were closed and all this other stuff. And I had injured my Achilles. And a lot of it was because I didn't have my routine. At that point, I was used to getting out. If I was going to go for a run, going out and running for 3 or 4 miles. And I was not training as hard and regularly as I had to. So I was going out and doing 3 or 4 mile runs without the strength training, and I injured my Achilles. And then this summer, I was really dealing with a severe knee injury. And I kind of got to talking with Nate and everything else, and it was like, what's the one thing I hadn't been doing? Hadn't been doing the strength training. I guess what I'm trying to reinforce to you guys is this is the path to success. This will work, but it's just not where instant gratification, where we're going to do a couple workouts, in the next couple days, and then next week we'll be ready to go. But one thing we can tell you is if you stick to this program for 3 months, you are going to have some level of success that is going to help improve your quality of life significantly.
So what we're going to be doing is through the Facebook group online. So starting on Monday of next week, we'll be putting out and saying, on Monday, we'll say, these are the exercises for today. And then, so it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be our strengthening days. And Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday are our cardio, our endurance days.
And we do have videos that demonstrate.
And so it'll all be kind of monitored through the Facebook. So you're going to want to check in there. But if it works better for you to do your strength training on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and do the other stuff different days, there's no right or wrong. I mean, the days we're just going to put this stuff out there so that it's being set out so that you guys have kind of like a daily reminder of, okay, this is what we're doing today. This is the groups of exercises that we're looking to accomplish.
So a lot of this now, you're going to have to gauge yourself where you're at. So we're speaking in languages of, like, say we show an exercise. We might say, try to do 6 to 10 repetitions. We're not giving a solid number because everybody's at a different level right now. Even if it's 5 to 10, I don't care if you only do 4. If you pushed yourself and that's where you feel like your comfort level is, what you're going to find though is if you do that, then the following week, maybe you're doing 5 or 6. That's going to, you want to get to the point where you're comfortable. Don't worry about what the numbers are or what the times are. Do what works for you, but what you want to do is monitor your growth. And that's where you see your own personal success. I mean, it's human nature. It's like, you can tell when you're making gains and, things are getting easier and that kind of stuff. And that's what pushes us to keep going. Success breeds success. So it's important that I mention that too, because don't get discouraged at the beginning if you say, well, I can't do 10 reps or 8 reps. I'm only doing 4. I mean, heck, if you haven't done any in 10 years and you're doing 4 today, today's a good day.
Right.
Right? That's a starting point. You got to...
And to kind of even enhance that point, I mean, the idea is that if I know that, okay, after doing 4, I'm going to feel this tomorrow. I'm going to have some soreness. I'm going to be stiff. That's probably enough for today. We're really shooting for about 70% effort here. Mm-hmm. We're not going all out because we want to be able this to be sustainable and long term. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go so hard that tomorrow we're like, oh, I just need a day off. That's not going to help us build to what we wanted to do. As much as we all would rather just go and hit it as hard as we can and say, all right, now I'm done for the week. It doesn't work like that. We got to take these small bites again and again. And
and we're not physical therapists or physicians or personal trainers. We're just kind of sharing our personal experiences of things that have worked for us and putting them out there so that, I mean, you've got your history with your physicians and know and what exercises you're comfortable with and that kind of stuff. But getting started, don't let that be discouraged from getting started. Do what feels good, and you're going to find that if you stick with that, it's going to build pretty quick.
Right. And just remember, if you're doing 4 a day right now, by August 19th, you'll walk a 5K.
Yeah, walking a 5K is...
If you're starting at 4 today and you stick with this program from start to finish, you're still going to achieve the goal. You're going to make it. We've got time.
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Right.
I mean, we've even kind of went back and forth about if people hey, I'd like to do it, but I don't know if I could do a whole 5K. And, you could maybe sign up with a relay where 3 people do a mile, that kind of thing. But I think you might find, we don't even want to get into that point right now, because you might find 3 months from now, you should feel totally different about what you feel like you're capable of doing compared to where you feel right now. So we talked about the next 3 months doing the strength training. And then when we get into June, Step Up will resume, I think, or end in May.
Right.
And then we'll take a break for the summer. But what we're going to do is at our offices, at our Brighton office, the Flint office, my Saginaw office, we're going to have 1 day a week where there's going to be a location where we can meet at. And if people want to work on walking a 5K, if you want to walk a half mile, you want to run a half mile, you want to, it's kind of like this.
We'll kind of have our running program that's laid out that's going to kind of prescribe what we do
working on that,
for each day. So on that day that we meet up, we'll get a group workout in together. Yep. And whether you want to walk it or whether you want to run it, however you want to do that, we'll be kind of working it through as a group.
Yep. Kind of going through what but we're going to explain in some of the cross training videos that what we've got here is we do some interval training. So I'm going to go lower level maybe for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to push at something harder for 2 minutes. And then, so we might have on one of our running days is going to be, when we first start out, I just did something yesterday. This is my day number 1, like I said, running, where I hadn't run in a while, but my knee didn't hurt, thank you. We did for 30 minutes, you're going to walk for 2 minutes and then run a minute. Then walk for 2 minutes and run a minute. Now, if you don't feel like you can run a minute, run for 30 seconds.
Right.
If you run 10 seconds, whatever. But again, there's pathways to do this that are going to give everybody an opportunity for success and growth.
Right.
So
our real goal is that by June, we're all feeling like we're pretty confident to walk about 20 to 30 minutes uninterrupted. That's one of the things that we're going to be using this next time period for, is to kind of establish that confidence, so that once we know we can do that, and then we can start to push ourselves to the running tempo a little bit more.